Alright, let's go. Alright, I'll call Woodman Hills Metropolitan District Board of Directors regular board meeting for Thursday, August 27, 2024 to order at 5:38. First item on the agenda is call, second item on the agenda is roll call.
John Martin present.
Troy Stinson present.
Stacy Popovich present.
And Sherry has family in town, and Kelsey's coming at?
She said around 6:30.
Around 6:30, okay. That one, so we do have a quorum. Item 3, director disclosures.
No conflicts.
Item 4, approval or disapproval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second. And without any objection, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. President's welcome and remarks. I apologize for missing last month's meeting. I was in South Carolina taking care of kids' event for the Bass Federation. So it was another one of the boards I sit on. But it was a lot of fun watching those kids fish and sweat to the, it was hot. It was hot. It was hot even, well, I don't know. I think it was hotter this last weekend in New Mexico. So it's been a little warm. But I understand we actually had people attend by the video last month. So, don't worry about rules of conduct. Someone will lead us in the pledge of allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag
to the
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's like a weird echo.
It's awesome.
That was great.
It's awesome. It's in surround sound. I like it. All right, item 6, public comment regarding current board business not on the agenda. See no one. All right, item 7, consider for approval the July 25th, 2024 meeting minutes.
So what's in front of you guys is the attorney's edits of the minutes. It really wasn't anything earth-shattering.
No, nothing substantive.
I make a motion we approve with the attorney's edits.
I'll second.
All right, motion by John, second by Stacy. Without any objection, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Item 9 is the conduction of public hearing on property inclusion. Consider for adoption resolution in order for inclusion of 11685 Owl Place.
What about item 8?
Oh, did I skip item 8? I did. Item 8, consider for approval July financials.
Almost Hey,
Nice try. Good catch.
consent agenda. I have an agenda change. All right, financials for July are up on the screen. So overall revenue for the month came in at $1,938,745 on a budget of $1,360,390. So positive variance there of over $500,000. It's what I've been talking about, right, is we knew we were coming in short to revenue as we were going into kind of the peak season for not only water irrigation, but also for building. We still have some outstanding invoices out there, like our friends at Circle K still haven't paid their tap fees, and I'll let them know so the board understands that as a 1-year sunset on the invoice, because we grandfathered them in to last year's rates, because that's when we approved it. So they have until December. If they don't pay, then they'll go to whatever the prevailing rates are. So I have talked to their new management company though, there is Matrix, so it used to be Land Consultants, right? They've been replaced. Not only here in the state of Colorado, but 2 other states. So it's kind of a mess right now, but we're working through that. So going back to this, revenues again, like I said, it's just, we're starting to even out what we were losing kind of in the beginning of the year. Going into expenses, total expenses, actuals for the month were $514,717 on a budget of $799,610. So again, also a positive budget there, or positive variance of $284,000. Total net revenue, we're looking at an actual of 1.4 million, came in budget at 560,000, so overall net variance of 863,000. Our year-to-date is 3.9 million actual net income on a budget of 2.8 million, so positive variance of 1.1. So total district is doing great. You know, for the longest time, Parks and Rec was always exceeding. Sewer and water were right there, but now they've really all come in line kind of with each other from a revenue and an expense perspective. There are some expense lines that we're watching, right? Legal fees obviously is something that we're watching, especially in the water side with open litigation that we have going on. Nothing we could have planned for, but overall expenses for water and the other 2 enterprises is well under budget. That's the main expense line that I'm watching. I don't know if the directors have anything else they want to add. Nope.
Everybody's good.
Is there any particular enterprise that you guys would like a deeper dive into?
I don't.
Nope.
Good with it.
Stacy?
I'm
Okay.
The only thing I think I wanted to point out to the rest of the board is with, that our legal this year, as we get closer to the end of the year, is gonna be over. And I just want them to know that ahead of time.
Well, we may have to get rid of them then.
Poor John.
No offense, John, but you're the cheapest.
Like cockroaches, you get rid of 1 and 3 more pop up.
I have to raise my rates.
I mean, that was kind of to be expected with everything we have going on
Yeah.
right now.
I mean,
Correct.
water year to date right now, we're $130,000 just on the
Right.
water side,
Yeah, I don't think
which is
we,
well over budget. But again, total expenses for water, I'm not forecasting it to be over. So there's no budget amendment needed there. But in reality, the budget amendment would be if we exceeded all of our expenses as the total, and we're not going to. So there's no budget amendment needed. It's just like Stacy pointed out, we are well over budget in that line item, but it's nothing I'm concerned about as a total district.
no, I mean, we have between water acquisition and land and pipes being built.
Yep.
I mean, we've had a lot of legals review this year.
Yeah.
So, that's all right. It's,
But I'll make a motion to approve the financials.
all right.
Second.
Motion by Stacy, second by John, with no objections, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Now, item 9. Conduct public hearing on property inclusion and consider for adoption resolution order for inclusion of 11685 Owl Place. Remind me which property that
It's
is?
the MD roofing.
Okay.
They had 3 parcels, they included 2, but the county was requiring to do the 3rd property. Like if somehow to make everything legal, so. We knew it was coming eventually.
Yeah, we weren't in on this discussion, but we were just told, kind of through the grapevine, that the counties, to do whatever purpose they want to do, the county's requiring this 3rd property to be included as well.
Okay, then I will motion we open public hearing for inclusion of this property.
Second.
All in favor? Aye?
Or we gotta open and close the hearing first and then good to
Don't I have
vote
a
on.
motion to open it?
Actually, you can just call it.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I'll open up the hearing, public hearing on property inclusion.
Does the board want any details from us in terms of what?
We've already included two of the pieces, so I mean, I don't think it really affects much other than adding some square footage to that piece of land, and this is for the storage facility, right? They're gonna make a storage facility there.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, Wally, but it's the extension of kind of Falcon Marketplace.
Yeah, so basically all the first two lots going in all places will be included now in the district. And I'm thinking they probably needed that because that road is gonna cut all the way through. So
Yep.
does a benefit all the way around.
So everything has been done, according to our inclusion policy, so, inclusion fee's been paid, posted the public hearing, we're having the hearing today, resolution is ready to be reviewed and approved or denied by the board. So everything on our end is done.
Okay, then with the, is there any other discussion on it during, in the hearing period? Then we'll close the hearing. Now I guess we'll vote. I'll ask for a motion to approve or disapprove the resolution in order for inclusion of 11685 Owl Place.
I'll make a motion we approve.
And I'll second. A motion by John, second by myself. Without any objection, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, motion carries.
More legal fees.
There you go. Just added to that line item. And here we're gonna add more to the line item. Item 10.
I was just wondering what this line item's gonna cost.
Attorney's report.
So, not a lot to touch on here that we haven't touched on previously. The big one is gonna be the amended restated service plan. Our letter of intent is drafted, the service plan is drafted. We're tying off a few of the specific definitions with the county right now. Model service plans are designed, as we've talked about before, for new districts. You have developers and language involving kind of developer contributions and things like that. We don't have that here. El Paso is pushing back a little bit on us just simply removing the term developer from the service plan, although it can be problematic if we just leave in developer contribution language. So we're hashing out a few of those. Carter and I are going to touch base here in the next week or two to just finish off a few of the tax exhibits for engineering costs and things like that. We're going to send it to, I believe, this board for review here in, I would guess, 1 to 2 weeks. So we'll call out specific items in it, see if you're okay with that language. All is a go, this gets submitted, and we start getting the ball rolling on the hearing process. So we're right there, we're just tying off a few last things before we press the submit button here. I'm happy to answer questions on any others as well. I guess the one other might be term limits. We did a review on this. The one piece that came back, a lot of times there are 2-year terms, we don't encounter those very often. Under the Colorado Constitution, a 2-year term is eligible for a 3rd term. So taking that into account, Stacy is eligible for a 3rd term if she wishes to run. Any appointee may run should they so choose for the second half of their current term. But Sherry and Troy will be term limited. Theoretically, however, the seat has to be open for the election. If no one fills it, both Troy and Sherry may be appointed to one of those positions should they so choose.
There you go, Troy.
I think I'm gonna run for state representative.
But that's all I have on this. If there's anything else, I'm happy to discuss.
No, I'm good.
I'm good.
All right,
$240 later.
Sorry for pointing that out tonight on the financials.
all right, item 11, Parks and Rec report.
Any questions on the report that I put out? Nope. Great. We had a really busy, ambitious week last week. right on the verge of maybe being too ambitious. We repainted all of RCE, new carpet at RCE, drained, cleaned the pool, got all that done. Went through all the equipment, cleaned all the equipment, did both the wood floors in the gym and the aerobics room, so, and new furniture and stuff throughout. So we were very busy last week, but we got it all done and it looks really great. So really happy that we're there, and now we're gonna shift to some attention to some outdoor things. Finish up Alkin, we'll get that overhang. Elliott Smith has left Hammers Construction, so they're pivoting with the new project manager at that meeting on Monday about getting the canopy walkway put together for RCE.
They go through a lot of project managers over there.
What's that?
Did you tell them?
Oh, yes, we have aquatics supervisor, Mike, is his name, Mike, I can't remember his last name right offhand, that's terrible, but, Merkel, as I say, I know, like Angela Merkel's, I've been reminding myself of it, but Mike, and he's been doing awesome. I mean, his first week was our pool closure, so he got that all under controls, learned some of that, and now focusing on doing group lessons, which we're identifying as October 1st is when our group lesson programs will be starting over there. So we should see, we're the only ones in the area, and it'll take a little while to get off the ground, but once we do, we should see a good revenue source from that. There's just nobody doing them out here.
Awesome. I'll have to stop by and say hi to Aquaman.
Yeah.
Alright. Item 12, water report.
So let's have a question if anybody on board has on my report that submitted. Other than the ongoing thing clear up, we're making some breakaways, so the unit manager that's reviewing the whole package for that plant. We should know here in a few days that we get the letter of approval, or if there's some amendments to the plan that was submitted that will correct those. Besides the serpentine pipe that will go into the ground.
Is that for sure we have to replace that? Have we already gotten that back saying we have to do the serpentine pipe?
We have to do it. It's policy 5 for this, for the building, part of the policy for the plants. There's no way around it.
Okay.
Alright.
Any questions?
No, thanks. Item 13, wastewater report.
Any questions on mine before I touch on another subject?
Fire away when you're.
Alright, so we have a resident right over here that had a plumber come in, install, they continue the water line after their water meter around the side of their house, and they also put in a sewer connection in their sewer line in hopes of putting in a camper RV as basically a permanent home for their mother-in-law. So the guy called in for inspection, me and the inspector went over, and they told him we do not allow RV hookups. It's a temporary hookup, we don't allow them. And obviously they've already got the expense of the thing in the ground. So apparently it's camp is designed to be parked at an RV park year round. So they're asking, what if we take the wheels off of it and hook up? Our rules and bylaws say it has to be a permanent foundational structure. So like if you build a storage shed or something, you could put a bathroom in there as long as you have a plumbing fixture. This doesn't technically meet that because they're technically adding a dwelling on their property. We don't actually address that in our rules and bylaws.
No, we don't. Didn't county just,
So what's the new
didn't
law?
county just pass that law?
That was the state law.
They said I think they said you're allowed to put in another, like a mother-in-law structure or something like that on the property, but they don't address all the water and wastewater and then work to it.
Yeah, there was legislation on ADUs passed. And for the areas in which this law applies, lots of a certain size are essentially required to allow an ADU. Municipalities, districts, whoever has that governing authority is allowed to still set some parameters for safety and design and stuff like that. But generally speaking, lots of a certain size are required to be allowed to have an ADU. I have not taken a look to see if that law applies to the area of the district or not, however.
I thought that question was asked and answered a while back, that it doesn't affect us. I'm on a half acre, so I'm sure it affect Troy.
For if it covers this area, yeah. They had an interesting term for it, and my understanding was the intent of the legislation was to essentially omit the ski resorts. They don't want the nicer properties to allow for ADUs essentially. But I'd have to go look and see how they categorize the zoning area and see if the district is within that bubble that they defined.
And it seems like there'd also be a question about whether what you're describing qualifies as a dwelling.
Yeah, I'm not sure what qualifies an ADU. We'd have to look that up as well.
Well, the
It's a
term
park
dwelling
lot
in this
friendly.
state is very broad. It can be a tent, it can be they're all considered dwellings.
There are certain size requirements as part of this legislation, so if we were going to tie it under that, it would have to meet those size requirements. Otherwise, I mean, certainly as long as it meets normal zoning for the county, then the district could choose whether they want to provide the taps.
Would it be a tap, or would it just
So
be?
that's kind of the two options we have is either you do consider it to be another dwelling and they would have to essentially buy another tap because it is a livable unit. Or we'd leave it be as a accessory to the building, but accessory building is not meant to be occupied.
Yeah, and I'll let that.
I don't know, could I turn my back garage into an apartment? It already has all the plumbing, toilet, shower.
Well,
You can.
I don't see why not. I mean, I don't think there's short-term rental.
I mean, the only reason I don't have a bathroom in mine is because it costs free 10 grand or plumbing to it.
the other thing is if you were to actually allow like a camper to sit up on there, I mean, everyone that's lost potentially could set something up on there. And now you've got,
Well, there's 2 on my street.
because, I hate to say this, but the mother-in-law, she lives there for 2 years, passes away. Now you've got this building there. They decide to rent it out to a family of 5 people. Now you just got an extra load of wastewater on there that's not accounted for anymore.
Well, water's in, was water out, right? So it's accounted for.
Well,
Not for
No.
capacity for the wastewater plant.
what he's saying is design rate, right?
Yeah.
Is that each SFE is a design rate of
For them.
0.353.
Yep, or 172 gallons per
Right.
day per home.
So if this home in particular is going to exceed that, then planning of capacity in the plant is going to be skewed greatly if you allow this, it then snowballs into everybody that has a camper is gonna do the same thing.
My next door neighbors have 10 kids. How do you account for that?
You don't?
The average is out. I mean, between a 10-kid home and a
Two people
2-person
next door.
home down the street, I mean, the law average is still gonna apply to the whole
Yeah.
community.
And I'll just add real quick too, that Wally and I discussed this tonight. We haven't done any sort of formal review on this at this time.
I mean, I'd be curious, but I mean, whatever the state law or county code is what we would have to abide by.
Huh, look, she got a new car.
Ooh,
Who got a new car?
It's just John being funny.
Either that or Robert.
I'm pretty sure our old attorney's out in the parking lot in his new Corvette. I mean, that would be something you'd have to bring back to us once, whatever the state law and the county code says is what we'll have to abide by. I mean, and if we have to write it in our specs, we'll have to write it in our specs to just reiterate it so that, I mean, the problem with it is realistically, the only reason we have bylaws is because people don't want to read the state code and things like that. We try to make it plain English for people to understand. So we do the same thing with that. We would have to put it in somewhere, specs, bylaws, specs attached to the bylaws, so that people can see it.
The other thing is, there were people trying to do it right.
Mhm.
One out of how many? You know, they're trying to do it right. They pulled permits, they're doing everything to where if they would have just parked the fifth or the camper there and hooked it up, who would have ever known?
And we've had a couple people do that already.
I'd be curious, so I'm having a flashback here. I was at a El Paso County hearing a month or two ago, and there was one of the people that was there was to present and get formal approval for their ADU on their property. And there was a lot of back and forth on the BOCC as to what is an ADU. So I am not sure how clear the El Paso County code is at that point. I think everyone universally acknowledged it needed to be updated. I'm happy to take a look at it and at least take my best guess at what the county would say. Do you know, just generally speaking, if there was a permanent installation of an RV, if the county requires any sort of permitting for that on a property? I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know either, so.
Let's start at the state level with the state law that was passed, see what the parameters are on that. And then look into if the county's either restricted it more or just left it, or just copied it, basically.
You know, this issue just came up yesterday, so.
I mean, that would be probably the best way to look at it. I mean, there's no rush, it's not
You just
crippling.
don't know.
Well, it's not crippling the wastewater plant right now, is it?
What's that?
It's not crippling the wastewater plant right now?
No, just a matter of not setting a precedent that. makes
I understand, but there's a
every
lot of
area
those here in the
camper
neighborhood
sit there
now.
permanently hooked up.
There's a lot of them that put cleanouts in their yard, run them right into the.
Yes, there is.
And if we see them, I will knock on your door.
I've got one right outside my back garage door. It's all permitted,
We told them
legal,
last
whole
month
9
that
yards.
So,
Homer rules and regulations, it's not allowed. They did disconnect their hoses.
But I have a clean out for my back garage. My
That's
back
a
garage
your
is,
garage.
That's
It's not
a
meant for an
permanent
RV.
dwelling. That's
okay, but you said if you have, a lot of people are using those clean outs to dump.
Yes, which is illegal by our rules and regulations. Your
Understood.
garage should have just plumbing fixtures in it. It's not meant for you to sneak your RV in there and dump your shit.
Understood, but it has to have a clean out, so in case there's an issue, you have to be able to clean it out. What I'm saying is people that have dwellings like that have a clean out because it's, I don't know.
It's in respect, every so many
80
feet you
feet
have to have one.
from where my sewer goes out of my house. So,
Every
people are
100 feet
using
you have to have a
those.
clean out.
And I think the goal is to get the rules and regs to meet whatever state law dictates.
yeah, I mean, that's the simplest thing, and then if we gotta put a notice out, we'll put a notice out. You know, the neighborhood's pretty good at policing themselves.
Yeah.
You'll have the ones that don't, but the neighborhood's pretty good about policing themselves, so.
same problem with water softeners.
Yeah.
You know, our rules and regs say you can't have a water softener. Oh, no, ours don't. We never put
Ours
that in.
don't, we voted it down.
But I know Meridian's does. That doesn't stop anybody up there.
No, and you can't just randomly start walking in doors and I need to see your
Right.
water
can.
system.
I guess you could say I'm here to do a check of our systems and see what else is in there,
Do that through the meter program.
right? There you
Know
go.
how to survey what's in the house.
Right?
Yeah, just let us know,
Yeah.
what you guys find. Just
Also,
also
once we
always,
get an answer, we'll, at least let these people know, because for now, they gotta leave everything open.
But
Either they gotta
also-
clear it out or.
you know, the one thing that I want to always remind everybody is, you know, the recreational community doesn't just apply to, you know, the running track and stuff like that. We live in an outdoor state. We live in Colorado. You know, RVs and stuff, if people want to clean out like he's got outside his garage, is it impactful for 2 months out of the year that they're gonna empty their tank there beside their house? What's the impact on our, you know, per capita, how many RVs are we gonna have I mean, as long as we're just talking about the ones that are permanently affixed to the side of their house, but I know people that have their kids move back here from college because they can't afford a house right now. And they're just, hey, stay in this RV. I can buy this RV for 12 grand and put you in beside my house. So I don't want to negatively impact people that we could, be helping.
To muddy things further, I'm looking at the bill right now, and it says nothing in this section prevents a subject jurisdiction or other local government from, and so that in this case that would mean the county, defining accessory dwelling unit in local law as including or excluding other dwelling unit types such as an RV. So it can go either way, depending on what the county decides.
So basically what it's saying is within this defined service area, certain rules do apply, but if a county wants to make it more liberal, is the way it's intended to be read, they are free to do so. So El Paso County would have to come out and say,
We don't use that term.
to allow for more variance rather than less.
Although I would say, it says including or excluding. So I think
Yeah.
it's saying the county, on the RV question, the county could go either way.
Yeah, but that part is going to be default to the county specifically. And I'd be surprised if anything's happened in the last 2 months in regards to that.
Let us know, see what we gotta do.
I'll tell them to sit tight.
If the county hasn't ruled on it, does our board have an option to make their own ruling?
So the board can't supersede the county. However, it can certainly mirror the rules to that of the county. So if the county says let's say hypothetically, county was like, hey, fair game, if we'll leave it up to the district whether they want to provide the taps for this service, then the district can go ahead and choose whether they want to provide the taps. If the county says, hey, none of these dwellings or none of these RVs are allowed to be dwellings, period, then there's not really an option to allow the taps at that point. So we have to kind of start seeing what's allowed, and then the district can make its decisions based on its discretion.
Then the question has to be, is it an additional tap? Or is it just?
They already have
to-
things in there now for foundational dwellings, permanent foundational dwelling. And that doesn't fit that category.
It doesn't, because like I say, if thing falls apart, they can unhook everything, put the wheel back on and roll it out. Now you have nothing stuff sitting there.
And the foundational piece, I think, makes sense just from a drafting standpoint, because if you wanted to put some parameters on this, if someone says, I want a wastewater tap in my tent, having a foundation is a pretty clear guide to where that rule begins and ends. Because also, if you're laying a foundation, you're probably going through all the permitting processes with the county and state as well.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. It's a little different than, a plumber might come out and run a water line to his 5-year yard.
Well, that's actually changing too, requiring licensed plumbers now.
That is a huge mess on its own. Yeah, you can sum that one up.
It's gonna become very profitable to be a licensed plumber.
For 1 year, there's no way that stays.
All right, anything else, Wally?
Nope, that's all I got
All right.
for now.
Sir, I seen you walk in a little late. Did you have something? We already ran by.
No, the wife just said I was underfoot and get out of the house.
Okay. Mine tells me to go fishing when I get that way. All right, then we're gonna move on to item 14, and I'm gonna motion we move to executive session for conferences with an attorney for the local public body for purposes of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions under CRS 246402-4B, namely arbitration with Cherokee Metropolitan District, and for matters that may be subject to negotiation under CRS 246402-4E, namely intergovernmental agreements with Falcon Area Water and Wastewater Authority, or FAWA, intergovernmental agreement with Paintbrush Hills Metropolitan District, District Engineering Services, Waterbury Inclusion, Saddlehorn Sewer Services, and property purchase. There you second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Bye.
Okay. With take a 5-minute break and enter executive session. Okay, we're now back in public session. All right, item 15, items unfinished from previous meeting. Hearing none. Item 16, board follow-up on older items. Hearing none. Item 17, other business. Crickets.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
That'd be item 18.
I'll second.
And a second by Stacy. Without any objections, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.
Good night.
Good night.